Hi, hello. Good morning, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the videos that I sent yesterday. I already received a couple of emails from different students asking some questions, so I decided to kind of try to do a new video focus in this task one, and I'm going to try to clarify maybe some of your doubts if I can. So I will start to talk. So we have four main points: the conceptual approach, responding to the site, and zoning and site plan. I will start with the conceptual approach, and I'll try to tackle a little bit of all of them. So what I did, as you can see, I continue to use your work. So here it's mono work from the first assignment. I just grabbed some of the material that I think that could be useful for this stage. There are other assignments that will be useful for the later stage. So right now you have to think about your concept. You have to find an idea. We have different let's say different keywords that are kind of related to the same thing. So we have idea, we have the concept, and we also have the party. For the ones, maybe this is the strangest one. If you didn't study this in your first assignment, maybe this is actually one that you don't know. If you go back to the book, you'll see that the party, it's related to the idea, they are the same, and the concept. So in Mona's words, she did this kind of a sketch or a diagram where she's saying that a design idea has to be something that it's specific, has to have a connection, has to inspire, has to provide comfort, has to be understandable, okay, for everyone, not just from our area, has to be appealing, and at the same time, so when we talk about this, we are talking about aesthetical too, and has to provide a statement. So it should be clear, understandable for the ones that are going to use what your design is. For this, of course, this it's related to if it's specific, and because this statement has to be understandable by people also need comfort, and this the connections, the aesthetical, the inspiring, all of this, I'll say that all of them kind of work together, and they are linked to provide the same thing. As you can see, this is using like a scheme, like a simple scheme that you have done to try to explain it. There are other ways to see this. Is just to try to explain how you can come up with ideas or keywords or diagrams that actually explain. This is from another student, this is from Sakina. And here she's showing some diagrams, and she focused on, in her case, it was in the party. So again, this was the word that I was saying. Part is the component of the building which the architect expressed by drawing a diagram. Okay, so many times when we find our, let's say, when we have a concept, and because we are architects, we try to explain them through sketches. Okay, we can also try to find some keywords that can explain our project. We can make some notes next to the diagrams that we do, but most of the times what we actually try to is we try to do some diagrams that explain our main concept, the ideas that we have inside our mind. So here you can see some exploration of the shapes, and then adding something, subtracting a shape, thinking about circulation in the middle, how it will work, the approach, if it's going to be in a straight line, if it's like going to zigzag, how the composition would work in the space, and then also like inside now going to a kind of a position that it's already related to the site analysis. The same thing here or there, as you can see. When we talk about the concept can come from different directions. Those ideas could be extracted from your first assignment, so it could be for things like more abstract, like the things that we have learned that are related to concept, philosophical things, but they could also come from the second assignment that we did, like the case studies. Maybe you find like some inspiration in that case study that you want to mimic, or some design approach, but they can also come from the third one. that it's the site analysis. Maybe your concept is going to be related to directly to something that you find on the site that you actually feel that it's really interesting, or actually you want to combine and you find something interesting in all of them, and then you want to do a connection to try to come up with a concept. When you have this idea form, what you can try to do, you can try to then do a party diagram, so a concept diagram, where you can actually try to break down the project in some different things. And this, as again, this is just an example, and this doesn't cover everything. Here it's a diagram, and we are kind of stating some things that you can see in the diagram. Okay, so the circulation, the entrance, the mass, the public and the private space, the site relationship and the solidity and transparency, and the view. So this could be, let's say, a scheme where you can then write some more notes or make some more arrows and related things. For now, and I'm going to explain this later on. For now, this looks really more in abstract way because you are not linking anything here directly to your site. Okay, so one of the questions that I had is what exactly should we provide in the site plan in this stage? Okay, so when you do this party diagram, for now it's really abstract. It's just like to materialize the idea that you have in your head. Now the last, let's say, step is to actually try to convert this idea in a specific location and assigning an area in your site plan. Okay, now so some more things that we need to cover. I will try not to extend myself so much because then the videos are too heavy. One of the things that you can try to understand is if in this case you have like a kind of a triangular shape for a building where you are concentrating kind of the 3 points and you are providing a specific view for the user. So many times your design, the form, your solution could be about linking, the person to a specific space. Other things that can happen, and this, extremely important, is also, okay, you have a project, how this project is going to relate to your sun path. How are you going to, and especially here in this climate, how are you going to provide your shape, then to avoid the sun or provide more shade? Is it going to be a rectangle? Are you going to have a void in the middle? Is it going to be, like independent buildings that then are, kind of related together? Do they have like kind of shading device between them? Are they going to be like independent units? It's just like a kind of more like a sculpture in the site, and then things are going around it. So there are different ways, but always trying to consider. So the first one was about the views, now it's about the sun. The ventilation also. Okay, so I'm just using some things. Of course, if we go back, if the wind comes from a specific direction, then also the shape of your building should be, enough to provide the right strategy to capture the wind. And here another thought about when architects think about circulation and entrances and approach, how do you, approach to the building from the sides, from the front, from the back, how then it relates together from different axes, how do you link the building to the things that are in the surroundings? In this particular case, you have your site, you'll have residential area, and you also have like the museum. You have here the archaeological part, and then you have an empty land that you already know that something is happening. So what is your strategy for this? So how do you link all those areas together? Do you want to link them all? Because again, it's your decision, and you have the power to explain why you did it or why you didn't do it like that. Another diagram also based on circulation and how you approach the building from different users. So you can, as you can see, you can use it's more like an axonometric view, but then exploded, where you can see the different layers, like from levels of your building. And then you have here a more like the bubble diagrams. So here maybe the ones that for now you know better because you have done this in the case studies. Most of you try to cover, okay, so you put like the components and then you kind of try to segregate them into service and then public and then private and then the link between them. And then you design the link depend on the if it's weaker, medium or strong the connection. Okay, again, this it's an abstract thing. This is where I try to explain how you go from something that it's abstract, maybe the first step that you do after you have an idea, okay, when you start to assemble the zoning and think about the components, is actually then not something kind of similar to what you have here, but here is just with the mass. You already have the mass and you are putting the things inside. What I would like you to be able to do is actually to think about, try to pass from this abstract to something where you are more reliable to the area that you'll have, but then inside your site. So let's say that you have the shape of your building or you are thinking about the form like this, and actually your site is something like that. And let's say that you have something like a forest here, for example, and you have some public areas like restaurants or a lounge area, and then let's say that you have something from the other side that it's like a graveyard, let's say, for example. So the question is, where should you locate? What are the best views, and where do you want to extend your activities inside to the exterior? So when you go in this abstract way, you are thinking about the linkage between the spaces. You can go further than this and then say, for example, within your site, fort side, seaside, residential side, but then or here try to understand, okay, so if the beautiful views that I have are from this side, then shouldn't I be placing, the most important public areas here so they can take advantage of this? At the same time, if I want to extend to the outside and the solar path, it's not like desirable. Should I have like a shading device here, or should I change the shape of this to be able to accommodate and provide a specific shade? So when you go from, you can use the diagram abstract, or you can even go beyond that and try to use it like related to the site so you can find solutions. Okay, so these are the type of drawings that architects use. They are expressing intention. So see the lines and the fluidity and the arrows, they are pointing to specific things and views, and here the way that the buildings or the circulation connects together. So just by looking at some schemes like this, we are able to identify some of the key things that are behind the conceptual approach. So don't be afraid to do, drawings that look so abstract. And I know that many times you think, I think my instructor won't, understand what is behind this, but give it a try, because most times we actually know. Another thing is that, okay, maybe you are not so advanced that you already know how your shape will be like, how you are going to control this, but you can start to have some ideas. So you can see this is a plan, this is what the architect is thinking, maybe like to have an interactive space in the middle that kind of connects everyone and then breaks down, but under a kind of a single shape. And then he's thinking how to have this in a section, okay? One of the things that normally happens is that when you think about the section, sorry, I cannot write here. Let's see if I can do it here. Okay. Many times you are like thinking about the mass, but then it's something very, like straight and level, because you don't think about the 3 dimensions of your building, especially if you are trying to do something as a model or a block model. Right now, try to think about this, how it will look like in terms of section. Are the things that I'm trying to aim in plan being achieved also in terms of elevation and section? Because many times you have a concept and you can actually see through the plan, but then, like fluidity, movement, but then when we look at the elevations are not, they are precisely like the opposite. In this case, no, it's kind of following the same statement that the architect did. Okay, and here now, regarding the passive architecture, So how can you use passive architecture, to then place your building in the site, to address different topics that could go from the range of, let's say, noise, from the use of natural materials, from the ventilation, from the daylight exposure or the views, or then the wind, or even the reduction of CO2. Some more sketches and ideas. I just want to actually show you how you can show your concepts, not just like with the keywords, but try to go beyond and move a little bit from massing. And here, what I really like here in this diagrams is that they actually show us the type of activities that they are planning to have, addressing those small gaps that the buildings are doing. So it is showing the people's behavior of people in the project, that it's very important. It should also take into consideration what is happening right now in the site. Then if you are thinking about the program and how you can deal with it, I have another example here, I think from Amal. So this is all those pictures that you see here are from the first assignment from different students. Here in the program, we kind of have, like a division of 4 different things. And inside each one of them, we have something that it's like the client, we have the site, we have the building type, and then we have the social aspect, okay? So, and all of this together should be able to, when we develop a concept, we should take in consideration all those aspects, okay? The type of building, so it's a tourist center, information center. What are the problems that you can face? What type of typology? Within the case studies, you have studied this a little bit. Then about the site in the third assignment, so this is related with the second one. This is related with the third. This is based with a client. We don't actually have the client, but you have a design brief. So let's say that this part is actually in your brief. And then the social dimensions, this could be something that is general, like social aspect, but it could also be the general part related to a specific thing, that it's the tourism, right? So this is exactly what you'll have to tackle here. Another thing from Asma, sorry. So architecture begins with an idea, then that idea provides us a concept, and then this concept can be translated into the diagram, like I have shown before. Some more diagrams that architects use, and you'll see that they complement each other. So they are all about the same building, but showing different things. Sometimes levels, and then putting levels together to show then the mass and the subtraction. There are some other things that you can think about, like this work from May, from this first assignment, denial and reward. So how can you add some kind of special features in your project? How can you increase expectations of the users? How can you let them, through the spaces in a kind of architecture path that kind of open up or closes depending on the satisfaction and reward that you want your users to achieve at the end? Some more ideas for the same things. So the approach, do you want something direct, oblique, spiral? What about the circulation? Is it happen something in the middle? How do you address from both sides? It's like a movement and then a stop area. How does it work? And how you can, express it in terms of schemes. A little bit more about this, but now here in a section or an elevation, and here then plans and masses. Then I think I can summarize all of this with Jenna's work. She explored the idea of being process oriented. There are lots of slides that she did that they are very important for you to understand. I think you should try to see what are the main decisions that we have to do? We all should aim to be process oriented. Okay, so we need to understand the design problem before choosing a solution. So if you still, I think I will emphasize this a lot. Okay, if you still don't know enough about your design problem, about the sites, about the constraints, about the case studies, you won't be able to then pursue a solution for your design. You need to focus on this. So then you can try to investigate and try to make decisions about the solutions or the analysis that you have done priorly. Again, the same thing. So to be process oriented, we need to do a project. For this project, we need the help of the case studies and the site analysis, and of course the first assignment, that is this one that we are seeing here. A little bit more. So to understand the design problem before changing solutions, this was what I was saying that it was important. So check this slide, see through it, and see this is how you usually start asking questions. Be like a kid, a child. Why is this here? Who is it coming? Where are they going? When do they meet? What is happening? The questions will inform then your design. This is what makes you think. You have, like, one of the critical things for design for an architect is to have a critical thinking, and that critical thinking comes from questioning and from always trying to find the right answer for the questions that we have. And now from Aisha we have a little bit more now about the space planning. So like we have seen before, like the bubble diagrams, we can also talk and think about things when we need to gather information. So again, the same questions: function, for who, how, when, and then what do you want to happen in your space? Is it like focusing individual in the community? Do you want to invite? Do you want to reject? Do you want to integrate people together? Do you want to segregate? Do you want to open? Do you want to close? Do you want to have combination or dispersion? So as you can see, for each topic, you kind of have like a very wide range of answers that you can have. Okay.